So it's my honor to introduce to you Fabrice Barthélemy. He is CEO of Tarkett, a Paris-based company who's doing several flooring solutions which in many cases are cradle-to-cradle certified. And this company is heavily involved within the C2C community, I think I can say over decades, I guess. And we are really much looking forward to get more information from you about your transformation and your roadmap to a C2C company. A warm welcome to Fabrice Barthélemy. The floor is yours.
Guten Tag. Und ja, ich bin Fabrice, ich bin der Geschäftsführer für Tarkett und dazu. Dazu gehört zu Tarkett. Vielen Dank, Nora und Tim, dass ihr mich eingeladen habt. Und jetzt, ich möchte Englisch sprechen. Genau, ich muss English sprechen. Just thank you very much again for inviting me today. It's very important for us to be here today. I am here with some of my colleagues, Christian Klaus, who heads Northern Europe, Germany and Austria, Switzerland and Poland and Eastern European countries, and has also a wider role at Tarkett. Thilo Höbel, who is the head of the DACH region for us, and Miriam Trifaxa, who is also our head of sustainability for the EMEA region. Just a few words about Tarkett. We are a worldwide company. We sell in 100 countries. Our sales last year amounted to 2.8 billion euros. And we are specialized in flooring and sports surfaces. We also have a family-owned company with 50% of the company owned by a French family, and we are listed on the Paris Stock Exchange. Our mission is to help create better spaces. We operate in many different segments, in healthcare and aged care, in education, in hospitality, in the workplace. We also have a very important sports activity, and we make flooring for the home. We have a variety of products. Yes, we do. We make vinyl flooring, we make linoleum, carpet tiles mostly, wood and laminate, a wide range of accessories and rubber tiles. And we are the world leader in outdoor sports surfaces with turf and also running tracks. I'm going to talk to you about our commitment to sustainability. It's not something that started a couple of years ago. It's actually, it dates actually far ago. And just a word of introduction about why it's important and what we see with our customers today. We deal with a variety of customers, of course, distributors, retailers, installers, large DIY chains, but also building owners, tenants, architects, and designers. All of these have a more or less focus on sustainability and circular economy. But I have to say that the real change is coming from the people on the left-hand side, from the architect community, from the large building owners, from also the tenants. When we sell, for example, I was visiting a few weeks ago the new headquarters of Orange, a large French telecom company. For their facility manager, the fact that we have a take-back program at the end of the life of their flooring is very important. For the installer, today, it's a real pain and a trouble. So I really agreed with what you were saying with showing the C2C lab. The contractor community today is not the one we should rely on to lead the way. It's more the people on the left-hand side and us as suppliers who have to lead the way. Recently, I've been appointed CEO a few months ago. I've been in the company for 11 years. And recently we updated our strategy, and the strategy is called Change to Win. And part of the strategy, actually one of the 3 main bullet points in our strategy is to change the world with, and the game with, circular economy. And this was my personal input in the strategy to include circular economy at that level, because I thoroughly believe that if we want to exist, not tomorrow, but in 10 years, in 20 years, in 30 years' time, as society and also as companies, we have to make this one of our key priorities. You know, it's a key challenge. Circular economy is a key challenge for the entire building industry. The senator who was here before mentioned it, rightly so. It's an industry that generates an enormous amount of waste, not necessarily at the suppliers, but at the job sites and the buildings. And today, the C2C principles are not yet widely approached and widely encompassed in the strategy. We have been, Tarkett, focusing on circular economy for a while. Already in 1957, we had a recycling operation in one of our plants in Sweden, in the south of Sweden. And we have a vision for circular economy that is, in the future, if we want to exist, all flooring will have to be recycled, and Tarkett will be one of the first truly circular companies. We're not there yet, and I will show you a few of the initiatives we are taking with the help of the cradle-to-cradle principles, and in some cases, certification. We want our product to be made with more and more recycled materials. We are far from there yet also. But also we need to have a more holistic approach involving suppliers, involving customers, to have really circular solutions, as you showed earlier on with the C2C principles. Of course, we need to set milestones. So we want that by 2030, 30% of our raw materials are made of recycled materials, secondary materials. Today we are closer to 10%. It's not only about the closed loop, as Tim and Nora, you mentioned earlier also. It's the use of resources. So we have already reduced our greenhouse gas emissions significantly, and they will have been reduced by 15% in the last 10 years. But we want to go further and to get another 30% greenhouse gas emissions reduction. We've started the journey quite some time ago, actually. Back in 2010, we started to apply cradle-to-cradle principle in all product categories. And it was more, so at the time also we worked with Professor Braungart, and we wanted C2C to be really a guiding methodology. And what we liked in the C2C approach was, beyond the certification, is the real holistic approach. And it's been really one of the guiding principles for Tarkett as a company and for everyone within the company. We apply it to all product categories, and I will show you a few examples. The ultimate goal is not always the certification itself, but more to help us to address the various topics in that holistic view and with a science-based approach. It's not about communication with C2C, it's about science and fact and data. It's not just emotion. And that's very important to us to help us progress. So I will give you a few concrete examples of what we've been doing so far and what we will continue doing. Tim, you said that earlier. It starts with the assessment of raw materials. We've done a huge work over the past 10 years and with an acceleration over the past 5 or 6 years to assess our raw materials based on cradle-to-cradle criteria. Today, 98% of our raw materials are assessed, which has been an absolutely huge amount of work, more than 3,000 materials. And it's been a collaborative approach with the PEA in that instance, with learning, training the teams, and improving the way we eco-design. Because it's one thing is to assess the material. The other thing, of course, is to modify the formulation, the composition of the products, taking into account the results of the assessments. So it's really key to our future, and I think you cannot insist enough on the fact that it all starts with the assessment of material. In the same range of actions, we are a strong supporter of transparency and communication with the customers, and again, communication not on emotion, but with data. And which is why we are implementing and deploying and communicating with our customers using the materials health statements that we believe are a strong support actually to quantify and to explain the composition and the impact of our products. It's a tool. I'm not going to go in detail through the tool, but it's a tool that is easy to read, very easy to understand, third-party assessed. It's not only assessed by ourselves. And of course, it is key to optimize the product formulations. So we are deploying that in North America, in the whole of Europe, for vinyl flooring, vinyl types, carpet, linoleum, and rubber. I mentioned again earlier a goal of 30% of recycled raw material. Actually, when you use a broader definition, today we have about 70% of raw materials that are either recycled or rapidly renewable or abundant in nature. But out of the 70%, only 10 is actually recycled, because we make products that have components that are rapidly renewable. Wood, engineered wood, for example, is a very good product for that, because we use softwood for the majority of the composition of the product, which is a much shorter lifetime or growth time than hardwood, and therefore it makes it much better for the environment. Linoleum, some of you know linoleum, which is a very good product. I will going to expand on that as well. Is made of linseed oil, rosin, cork, jute, so all natural and renewable products. And we use a lot also of very abundant products in our compositions, such as calcium carbonate or sea salt. It's not just about also working on a standalone as a company. When we say 10% of our raw materials are recycled, actually it's either that they are recycled in our own plants, and I'll expand on the take-back programs, but we work also with suppliers. Very few people, well, not all, we don't communicate enough on that, but we mentioned carpet tiles earlier. So our brand is Deso in Europe. 80% of the fiber that we use on the carpet tiles, so the top fiber, is actually made out of fishing nets. So we don't do that ourselves. We have a partner supplier called Aquafil that have the process to start from old fishing nets and make fiber that looks like brand new fiber used into textile or carpet tiles. And the goal then is, of course, to make sure we close the loop, and that at the end of the life of the carpet tile, that fiber can be regenerated again, and that will be possible. We are very lucky because we work with materials that actually can have a closed loop. When you take the nylon or polyamide that is used to make carpet tiles, you can depolymerize it and repolymerize it nearly in an endless loop. So in this and in that precise case, the challenge for us is not so much anymore technical. Actually, we have processes to completely close the loop. The challenge is a lot about the extended enterprise, the extended company, working with our customers and the job sites. Today we collect, and we have programs to collect from the job sites all the waste flooring material that comes. It's a service that we propose to our customers. Very often it's a service that we propose for free. And what we do is first thing is when we sell rolls, we collect the offcuts from the job site. So you know, it's important to know that actually in all roll products, about 10% of what we sell never ends up on the floor because it's just cut off for the size of the shape of the room. We have a free service in many countries where we collect that, and the beauty is that these products are clean, very well known, their composition is very well known, they are immediately recycled and reused into the plants. The key there is actually not so much with us, but it's to engage our customers, engage installers and contractors in that movement. You would be really surprised and ashamed at what we find in the big bags to collect flooring, because very soon, if you don't have a very disciplined approach, you find Coke cans, you find beer bottles, you find shoes, you find all other type of material, and then the recycling operation becomes very ineffective, extremely costly, and not at all industrialized. So there is a big, and what we are doing today with engaging and with larger communities is very important, because there is the need to really engage our customers in those programs. I mentioned also the process and the use of resources. Let's be clear. All manufacturing industries have a lot to do to improve their manufacturing processes. We've reduced our greenhouse gas emissions, and that's not my primary goal. Is to achieve that not just by buying greener energy. It's important to buy greener energy, but it's more important even to reduce the consumption. So to replace electric motors by more efficient electric motors, to make sure that there are no leaks in the fluid systems. In the same order of magnitude, we have now 2/3 of our sites that have closed-loop water systems in order to make sure we don't use water or consume water in our production processes. This has been a very strong push actually over the past few years. The beauty of that also, and that's something that maybe we should mention more in the cradle-to-cradle approach, is that this is not in contradiction with the business objectives or the financial objectives. Actually, when you are more frugal with using resources, you also save money. So it's not an additional cost for the company. It's actually also a source of savings. This is a very important message, because very often people say it's more expensive to use less energy. No, it's not. It is actually cheaper. So let's talk a bit. I know a lot of you are architects in this room. Let's talk a bit about the products, and I will start with the most difficult product to talk about here today in this room, which is all the vinyl flooring that we make. And we have actually chosen vinyl as one of the first targets for developing or using cradle principles, because we believe it's a durable, recyclable, very efficient product that actually has changed a lot the performance of some buildings. If you think about hospitals without vinyl flooring, they would be much less safe than they are today. And actually, it's one of the best addition of vinyl flooring to health. I would not like to be operated in a hospital with ceramic tiles and lots of germs in the joints. We have improved a lot the vinyl flooring with focusing on indoor air quality, so VOC emissions, where we are always better than, or normally 10 times better than the stricter standards. We have focused also on the, and that was one of the, if you want, the outcome of the benefits from working with C2C. We, through material assessment, we early identified that phthalates were going to be a problem. So about 6 years ago, we eliminated phthalates from the composition of all our vinyl products, so mostly from plasticizers. And today, we are, as far as I know, the only producer in Europe with 100% of our product ranges completely phthalate-free. We have found solutions, technical solutions. In that case, it's not more economical, it's actually more expensive, but we've made that commitment because we thought it would be important for the future of the company and for the future of the industry. And by doing that, many of our competitors also have followed the same path or the same trend. We have also, based on cradle-to-cradle criteria, we have developed collections and products that are certified, and some of them with one of the strongest certifications. So in that case, gold level for linoleum. As I said, it's a totally natural and renewable product. It's made of linseed oil, of pigments, of jute. It's produced in a plant in Arni in Italy that also has been leading at the forefront of reduction of greenhouse gas emission, of energy consumption, of reducing the water usage. I think that linoleum product, maybe not this one exactly, but a similar one is installed at the lab, at the C2C lab. So we are very proud to have achieved that gold certification. Same for carpet, where we have gold certified products. The Dessau Airmaster is a very good example because it is certified for many reasons, actually. It has a platinum certification on material health. It uses the yarn, the Econil yarn that I just mentioned from the company Aquafield, made out of fish nets. So there's not 1 gram of virgin material in the yarn used for those carpet tiles. We have replaced bitumen with polyurethane backing. So bitumen is not part of that product. It's replaced with our solution called EcoBase, which has been a huge investment for the company. And it has two benefits, two advantages. It's not bitumen, and it's also 100% recyclable in itself. So it's a real closed loop product. And we have developed, and we are going to accelerate on the take-back program of these tiles, so as to apply what was mentioned earlier. I mean, you mentioned leasing as one of the possibilities. It is true that it is something that we are probably going to reinstate. It's not always the solution for every customer. Some of them want a take-back program without the leasing part, which can be a bit more complex to put in place. But the principle is there, is to say, okay, I install a floor today, but I know its lifetime is somewhat limited, 5, 10, 15 years. And I have a commitment from the supplier that tomorrow there is a solution and a scheme to take it back and recycle it. And that is more and more important with our professional users and people who have a responsibility in the environmental footprint of the building they design or the building they install. We also have another product that is installed actually, and that was mentioned this morning in the lab with ID Revolution, which is a tile, a resilient tile that is made out of recycled material, mostly PVB and recycled natural fibers. Of course, it is phthalate-free, and it's also a very low VOC product, and one that can be installed without glue. So it's an installation that in the full system doesn't use any other material. Again, C2C Platinum for materials health. It's been launched recently, last year actually in 2018, in most of European countries, but starting of course with the Nordic countries and Germany. To conclude, I think I would like to insist on the challenges for our industry and what Cradle to Cradle can bring to us. As you saw today, and I think the minister mentioned it a bit earlier, we have an issue that we don't have enough consistent and relevant standards. And what we do with C2C actually contributes to creating actual standards, and not based on emotion, but based on science. The science-based approach is really important. We have to, the standards and referential needs to be easy to understand, which is the power of MHS, for example. Make it easy to understand by customers, whatever business they are in. We have to also to create, and that's big of the challenges we have, more cost-efficient models. I intuit when talking about the take-back programs. These programs can become very quickly expensive, especially when you deal with small job sites and when not everyone is disciplined in using the programs. We need also the help from regulation authorities and political authorities, because today we have to admit that the cost of going to landfill or the cost of incinerating products is not big enough. It's not a huge incentive actually to encourage us to invest a lot of money and to encourage our customers to invest a lot of money in the cradle-to-cradle approach. So we need also that contribution, and we need the long-term commitment, because it's not a change that we can do overnight. There is a lot of inertia in the whole industry and building industry. We need to embark everyone on this journey. But it's a long-term journey. We started with Cradle to Cradle in 2010. We started recycling flooring in 1957, and still the progress is incremental, and if we want to accelerate, we need also to have a long-term vision. So as a conclusion, I wanted to share with you this morning that Tarkett has really used Cradle to Cradle as a North Star, a lighthouse for environmental strategy, sustainability strategy. We believe that beyond the structured methodology and the standards, it's about also the inspiring approach that the C2C is bringing, the holistic approach, and it resonates both externally and internally within the company. And we really welcome this type of events like today to help us and you engage the whole community and all people working with building materials in their transition to a truly circular economy, because we really believe that the future is with the cradle-to-cradle approach. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much for your interesting speech and for your thoughts. Yeah, you have already talked about some cradle-to-cradle business models that you already have with your take-back systems. But I would like to ask you what your ideas. We were talking about cradle-to-cradle business models, and that we really need to figure out what kind of ways we need to go for different business models, and if it's only the service business model or something else. What are your ideas and the ideas of Tarkett for the business models of the future on cradle-to-cradle and on how to totally close the loop?
Well, for me, I really believe that the basic business model is the take-back and recycling. with or without lease, but I'm not convinced that lease is the answer to everything. I know it's been discussed for quite some time. It's much more difficult actually to do in building materials than it is with cars or even planes or boats. The main reason is that you need to find financial partners who actually have trust that if the customer defaults, they have an asset to take. When you lease a car, it's easy because if you don't pay your leasing installment, the leasing company repossesses the car. With a facade or with a carpet tile, it's not as easy. And also the residual value of the carpet tile after 4 or 5 years is not necessarily exciting for the leasing company. So we have that offer, but we are struggling to really see a huge development of that. For us, the main business model is that suppliers, eco-design products having the afterlife, well, it is not afterlife actually, having the closed loop in mind when we design carpet tiles. When we design carpet tiles with eco-base, for example, and with yarn that is recyclable, we have in mind already the process that will be used 10 years down the road to actually dismantle and recycle each of the individual components of the product. For me, that's the main, and it's also what I see resonates a lot with our customers, especially building owners and some architects as well.
Yeah, and seeing a building as a material bank could maybe help to totally define buildings in a new way than we have it right now. Yeah.
Absolutely. And we also have to solve the problem of legacy materials, because the buildings of today are a material bank, and they've not, and we know they contain materials that we don't use anymore today, or that if we assess them are not very good. And then we have to make decisions whether we want to progressively dilute these legacy materials or send them to landfill or incineration, which might not necessarily be the best option. But seeing the buildings as a material bank is a very interesting concept, actually.
Yeah, dazu started with Cradle to Cradle and with a Cradle to Cradle roadmap to totally become Cradle to Cradle. Is there any aims or the for Tarkett to totally implement Cradle to Cradle for the future?
Yeah, that's absolutely the aim for the company as a whole. Some markets are more mature than others. Europe, and especially Germany, the north of Europe, is really ahead of the game there. In North America, it's very interesting because if you are in California, California is like here, even more advanced in some cases. It's even better. But you go to the center or the south of the North America in Texas, it's much more difficult actually to promote these kind of solutions. So we have it as a strategy for the whole company, but we have to accept as well that some countries or some regions of the world will go faster than others. Also, sometimes for cost reasons, I made a point of saying that Cradle to Cradle approach in the manufacturing processes generates savings. I'm fully convinced about it. However, when you talk about materials, some solutions are more expensive than others, and in markets like Russia or China, this can be a problem. This can be an issue, and it's a bit, frankly, I found it annoying or frustrating that sometimes customers are reluctant to pay 50 cents or €1 more per square meter to have a much better product, but this is the reality. So as a company, we have a global strategy to become truly circular and to apply Cradle to Cradle principles, but we have to accept that the pace will not be the same everywhere at the same time. And we don't want to slow down in the fastest countries because of the slowest one, actually. We need to use the fastest countries to create the pool for the rest.
Yeah, thank you. Are there any other questions from the audience? Okay, I think yeah, we had all yeah, your ideas in your speech. So thank you very much for that. Thank you, Fabrice.
Thank you for inviting me.